Hey everyone, my name's Heathrow. I'm a handyman and a carpenter. Today I'm going to be talking about the 7 steps I take before I hang drywall in any project. You can see behind me I've got this house down to the studs. We're getting really close to drywall. We're about a week away. So I thought I'd make a video on the steps that I take before the drywall is actually hung. These steps are going to make it a lot easier on whoever's hanging your drywall and doing that installation, and it's going to make your finish look a lot better when they're done. So let's get into it and I'll show you what I do. First step I take is to hire a good drywall contractor. Whether that be yourself, if you're feeling comfortable installing the drywall yourself, or researching, finding somebody you trust and you like and they have good reviews. A couple of tips I have when looking for a contractor: find someone local to your area. People are always a lot more willing to work on your project if you're close to them. So what I do is I use Google Maps. Sometimes I'll type in what the contractor I'm looking for. In this case, it's a drywall contractor. And it'll bring up pins near my location, and then that way I know that they're at least local to my neighborhood. So start in your neighborhood, use people close to you if you can. They're gonna be much more happy to work for you. So that's step number 1, find a good drywall contractor and know that the job is gonna get done right. The second step I like to take when preparing for drywall is to go around and clean up all of your studs and make sure there are no nails and no obstructions in the way. A lot of the time when you take down lath and plaster or you take down old drywall, there are nails left over and screws left over, and these are just gonna get in the way of your installer or you when you go to install the drywall. And it's a good idea to do this before you get any estimates or bids on your drywall, because then that way the installer knows that you have clean studs and they don't need to work extra hard to do that themselves. A lot of times drywall contractors will do these steps for you, but it's gonna cost you more money in the long run. If they see that your studs are ready to go and completely ready for drywall, it's gonna be cheaper. They're gonna be more likely to accept your project. Here's a good example of the things you wanna look out for on your studs. And those are the things that are really gonna get in your way when going to install. And unfortunately, same goes with the ceiling too, if you're doing the ceiling. So this is not the most fun step. It can definitely be a little bit tedious and time consuming, but it's definitely worth the effort to remove all these little nails when you're getting ready for drywall. The third step I like to take before I install drywall is to go around and make sure that my studs are all on one continuous plane, meaning the walls are gonna be flat and they're not gonna have a bunch of waves in it from studs that don't line up. So what I like to do is I take my 4-foot level. Even better would be an 8-foot level. I don't have one of those, but a 4-foot level will do. And essentially go around from stud to stud and put a straight edge on it and try to understand where your low spots are. So I can see there's a little bit of a low spot here, and the rest actually looks pretty good. This is a pretty good wall, but that's gonna be pretty rare for an old house like this. I'm gonna go around and double check and make sure the walls are flat. Even on new construction, a lot of times walls might have a bit of wave to them, so you're gonna wanna use drywall shims. Anywhere there's a low spot where the level is touching 2 studs, but in the middle doesn't touch the other one, maybe there's a small gap in between, you're gonna wanna fill those small gaps with drywall shims. It's a pretty easy process. It's something you can also pay your drywall contractor to do, but I really like doing it because then I know that I've taken the time, I've done it, the walls are flat, and it's one less thing that they have to do when they're hanging the drywall. Here's a good example right here. This is actually a wall that I just built. So theoretically, it should be pretty flat, right? Now if I go to these studs here, you can see there's a little gap there. Fourth step I do when preparing for drywall is to double check my insulation and my electrical and make sure everything is where I like it and it's good to go. So I've got all my insulation installed. I've got my spray foam around the windows and the doors and the cracks. This is kind of the last chance you have to double check these inside the wall cavities and your insulation. Take the time and double check everything inside your walls is how you're gonna want it to be after the drywall is installed. The fifth thing I like to do before installing drywall is to make sure that there's blocking in everywhere I need it. If you let your drywall go unblocked and unsupported, it can hang, it can sag, or it can even be broken by pushing on it. So this is a good example here. This is the master bathroom that we added. You can see the top plate there's going to be drywall coming in this way, and currently right now there's nothing to catch the edge of the drywall along this wall, because the drywall is going to come in, it's going to hit that wall, and there needs to be something up there to support that edge of the drywall. So let me give you a closer look. This is a really good example of kind of all the preparation steps that need to be taken. This lath needs to be cleaned up. You can see there's a fair amount of lath there that's left over from the ceiling lath. And so what I'll need to do is add blocking that comes out from the top of this wall and will catch that sheet when it hits the corner. And the sixth thing I like to do before drywall is installed is to make sure the space is as clean as it's been during the whole project. Now is a great time to make sure nothing is in the way. I know I have some flooring I need to move, as well as some insulation that's hanging around. So make sure those big items are out of the way. And then also do a really good deep clean, a vacuum, wipe everything down so that the space is just a little bit more enjoyable to work in. We all know working in a messy job site can be dangerous, and also it's just not as pleasurable. You know, when you get on a job site and it's immaculately clean, really makes the work a lot easier and more enjoyable while you're doing it. And the seventh thing I do before I hang drywall is just have good and open communication with your contractor. Ask them what they expect, ask them what they would like to see, have them come and look at the house and see if there's anything that you can add before they get started to make their job easier. If you go that extra mile, you meet your contractor in the middle, help make their job super easy, the whole experience is gonna be a lot better for everyone. Anyway, that about does it for this video on the 7 steps I take before I hang drywall. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If this video helped you out at all, please hit the like button, definitely helps me out, and subscribe so you can see when my next video comes out. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.